There's some sort of a movement, I guess, that's supposed to be going on, I guess, this weekend regarding, I guess, Louis Farrakhan and the Million Man March or what have you. I actually wanted to kind of do a video about that because, and this is not something or a subject that I would actually normally talk about. I always talk about other things of interest, regarding the Bible and, relationships and stuff like that. But I felt compelled to actually do a video about this particular movement, and for the most part, and how it is actually working more against us than it is for us, for the most part. Now, like I say, I don't claim to know everything. As long as you live, you're going to continue to learn. That's pretty much my philosophy. The day that you stop learning is the day that you're 6 feet under. But the issue is that, we as Black folks have to really learn how to not look for one person to represent us and how we actually feel about how we're being treated in this day and time. And for the most part, and the sad part about it is that we have gotten to the point where we actually want people or allow people to do a lot of the thinking for us rather than we actually taking the bull by the horns and thinking for ourselves, And for the most part, we've actually can see where it has gotten us. It really hasn't gotten us far as 20 years ago when they actually did the Million Man March to where we are today, because basically there has been not really, I would say, much progress in the African American or the Black community as far as the males are concerned. We got to really wake up and start to really think and really look at things and really, zone in and really take things apart and really think logically about some things before we actually lend support for someone who is supposedly all about the Black cause. Like I say, I'm a Black person myself. Like I say, I don't claim to know everything, and I'm certainly not trying to impress anybody, Look at how I'm looking right now. But it is what it is, like I say. But like I said, I'm home. So like I say, I always clean up and, whatever the case may be when I go outdoors. But I digress. But the issue is that, we have to really be able to really think for ourselves and not always be willing to jump on somebody else's bandwagon just because of the color of their skin. The way we Black folks actually think this day and time is that anybody who's talking to us, whether, talking or speaking about something that's important, the first thing that we do is we look at the skin color. And the thing about it is that we determine whether or not we're going to agree or disagree with someone based on their skin color. If they're white, we're automatically, for the most part, are going to shut down. We're going to think to ourselves, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't have any relevance. Let's just look at and try to do something else. But if we look at somebody who's talking and, and they happen to be Black, we automatically assume that whatever it is that they say, it doesn't matter how outrageous it is, how far-fetched it is, that they are for and are about, the Black people. They're all, they can speak for me because they understand the human condition. They understand what Blacks are going through because of, the fact that they're Black themselves. And when I run into people like that, I try my best to distance myself away from that type of thinking, because just because you're Black doesn't mean that everything that comes out of your mouth is going to help me as a Black person. Now, when you're talking about Louis Farrakhan, like I say, I will say this. He is a very learned person. He's a very educated, he's a very, very philosophical person. He has a lot of experience to draw on, which is the reason why, a lot of people thinks that when he talks, he really knows what he's talking about because he's been through some things. He's, knows all about the Black man struggle, and the fact that whites don't really think highly of Blacks. And for the most part, you got to look at something. He chooses his words wisely. And see, the thing about it is that we got to understand is that, whenever you're talking about issues regarding Black and white and such like that, we really have to be careful about the message and the things that we say, because again, we got to understand all ears are going to be listening, this weekend with the Million Man March or whatever that they're going to do up there in Washington, D.C., from the president to, the white folks who happen to work with the president to, it's going to be actually, this march and this cause is going to be actually viewed by a lot of people worldwide, maybe, I don't know. But the issue is that whenever you're actually wanting to bunch up in groups and listen to someone who supposedly knows so much and cares so much about the Black people, you got to really look in history and see what this person stands for. Like I say, I'm not here to change anybody's viewpoint of Mr. Farrakhan, because again, either you're going to like him or you're going to not. You're going to love him or hate him. It's up to you. But the issue is that before I go and follow someone blindly and actually want to think, and take up what they're saying as my truth, I'm going to research them to see pretty much what they're all about and the reason why they are involved and the reason why they're saying such things. It wasn't long ago, I think it was maybe 2 months ago or so, when he was on the Breakfast Club, there was a video that was posted on YouTube where he was talking about a lot of things that's going on in the black community, and how, it relates to white folks and stuff like that, and I would have to say, hands down, that was a very profound interview. I take my hat off, I give it to him. But the thing about it is that even though he did say a lot of things and, a lot of truths as far as the black community and how we need to get up and wake up and stop being stupid, he did, kind of say a lot of things without actually voicing it out of his mouth. One of his main things that, that we got to really understand is that you have to listen to what the person is not saying that can be heard very loudly as opposed to the words that's coming out of their mouth. See, a lot of people want to be known, in the Bible, and the book of Proverbs speaks about it, it's saying that, a fool is known by the multitude of words that come out of their mouth, that sort of thing. But the issue is, I'm listening to what you're not saying. And what you're not saying is actually really, in a sense, telling me the deeper issues of what's going on in your heart. Now, see, anytime Louis Farrakhan, or when he's actually asked the question about how he feels about, white folks, and for the most part, and how, how he views them or what have you, he never really comes out and for the most part says that he hates white people. And see, the thing about it, again, is that he chooses his words wisely so he won't actually create some sort of uproar. Because remember, the whole point of this whole Million Man March is all about politics anyway. I mean, if you haven't figured that out already, then, I don't know what to tell you. Because again, I'm a thinking man. I like to sit there and I like to kind of break things down and look deeper than what's actually being portrayed in front of me. Okay? I've always been that way. So like I said, you can't fault me for that. That's something that I've always been. I don't really take people at their words. I want to actually just kind of delve a little bit deeper to see what's going on so I'll know what you're all about. But see, the thing about it is that he would never actually say that he actually hates white people. But he says that it's about time that black folks get, in their spirits and their hearts to to give back to the white people what the white people gave to us. And see, for the most part, we already pretty much know what his view is. He doesn't like white people. And as a matter of fact, I would go so far as to say that he despises white people. But you will never actually hear him say that. Because he already knows that, again, this is all about politics. And the best way to win someone over is to kind of get, to kind of politic with them, to kind of, win them over by your multitude of words about, how you can paint yourself as, being, one thing when somebody else is trying to, I guess, put their foot on your necks to try to keep you under their feet. His whole philosophy is, and the whole thing about this whole Million Man March thing is wanting to paint black folks as the victim, and the fact that we need to get up and do things for ourselves. Now, I'll say this. I agree with the fact that, his philosophy in some cases is that we have to get up and do for ourselves and make things happen on our own. I agree with that totally, 100%. But as far as the getting even, wanting to get back to the white man and give him payback for what he did to us, and the sad part about it, I think he had some sort of public forum where he was speaking, I think a couple of months back, I'm not sure. But he was like, if it involves killing white folks or whatever, then so be it. And you had all of these black folks that are standing up cheering this man on. I'm like, you idiots, do you see what this man is telling you to do? What he's telling you or what he's alluding you to do? I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, this man here, if you go out there and try to get back by killing a white person, Louis Farrakhan is not going to sit there. He's going to sit there and call you an idiot. This man is not going to come to your rescue. He's definitely not going to send anybody to come to visit you in jail to tell you that you did the right thing. The thing, we have to really be able to think. And the thing about it is that is a lost art in the black community. We don't think anymore. The thing about it is that we're so fed up for being, treated badly that we'll pretty much grab a hold of anything or anybody who seems to be about our cause. And like I say, that is our error. That's going to continue to be our error, because the thing about it is that we really don't know the art of how to live, logically and peacefully amongst, white folks. Like I say, I live in the South. Like I say, racism is just, we're drenched around it. I can see it every day when I walk out my door. But the thing about it is that I have to make a constant decision within myself whether or not I'm going to allow that particular the things that I see around me in my environment, I'm going to be the one that to see if I'm going to allow that to dictate how I live my life. And I cannot sit there and allow that to dictate how I'm going to live my life from the moment I step out of bed to when I go to bed at night. The thing about it is that Louis Farrakhan, wants to keep black folks, in a sense, in a state of being angry. He wants to say anything and really portray ourselves as actually being constantly fed up. Now, in a sense, he may have a point, but the thing about it is that you got to understand, this is a short life. Our life expectancy is already small as compared to other races and stuff like that. I mean, so the last thing I'm going to do is want to sit around there and actually hold this cloud of oppression or constantly be angry at somebody, and the thing about it is that they themselves haven't done anything to me. It may have been their ancestors that may have done something to my people, but the issue is that it hasn't been done to me. So I don't have a reason to be angry. I don't have a reason to sit there and hold things in my heart, walking around, with this attitude, that, I don't like you, or, don't say anything to me just because you're white. I hope and pray, like I said, and I can tell you right now, this Million Man March is not going to do anything positive for the black community. The only thing it's going to be doing is dredging up old philosophies, old ideologies, and maybe putting a new spin on it. I mean, because the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. And I believe that wholeheartedly. There is nothing new under the sun. All the philosophies, all of the, the colloquialism, all of the name calling, all of these type of things that's going to be going on after this, it's going to continue to be in existence. And the sad part about it is that we're going to continue this disease that we have, that I call ignorance. We're going to continue to give that to our young, even after this thing is all over. And the thing about it is, I hate when we actually have, these groups that come together where they're calling for all the black men and everybody to come together. I look at this thing and I laugh. When I really learned about it and really studied this thing for what it was, because again, when I'm not saying that I was, smart all my life. Like I say, I was ignorant. When I first heard about the Million Man March, and I'm learning about racism and what it really means and how it affected my people, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm glad that there's someone there to speak up on our behalf, to let the white folks know that, hey, you can't keep treating us this way. This is the way that I was thinking before I came into the knowledge and really start studying things and seeing things for what it really is. And like I say, even though the Million Man March may be wonderful, a wonderful thing by some people, because they're only looking at the surface, they're not looking underneath, it's really doing us a lot more harm than it is anything else. Because all it's going to do now is give new life to the hate that already exists in some black people for white folks. Like I say, so, and the thing about it, I'm not even including any other ethnicity, any other, sort of, race or whatever in this particular discussion, because this Million Man March is pretty much directed to one group of people, and that's for white folks. And that is, just pretty much Farrakhan's way of actually, spitting in the white man's face, if you will. And the thing about it is that I'm not going to try to sit there and try to, support someone's cause when they can't even do the basics of the Bible. Now, Farrakhan knows a lot about the Bible, because when he was talking about, when he was doing his interview with the Breakfast Club back 2 months ago or so like that, it was some principles that he brought up in the Bible, and stuff like that. So the thing about it is that this is not an ignorant man. By no stretch of the imagination, this is not an ignorant man. But his basic concepts, that the fact about that you can't even get along with your own brother and sister that you see every day, that's the part that really separates me from anything else that he has to say. And that's the reason why I don't think I will be viewing anything like that on my TV this weekend, God willing, because the thing about it, I have a lot more better things that I can do with my time. I'm not going to sit there and listen to someone constantly tell me what I need to do to get back at the white man. Because the thing about it is that God says vengeance is his. So, like I said, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to sit there and allow someone to walk and run over me now. Let's not get it twisted. But I'm not going to sit there and listen to someone who is packed full of hate. And even though he may not say it's hate, you can listen to his body language and how he dodges and how he chooses his words carefully to still see that it's still a lot of deep-seated anger. And hate is nothing but deep-seated anger. It's festered there. It stayed there for a while, and it's festered up, and now it's starting to manifest itself in a different form. That's all it is. When you get to the root part of the hate, it's all about anger. It's sat there long enough, and now it's starting to, to fester into something that's more and more potent and poisonous. And see, the thing about it is that, again, if I'm here to live a peaceful life and to live a long and enjoyable life, that's one of the things that God says that I got to get rid of. If God said he cannot hear you when you have all these things in your heart and you're praying to him, God says, I don't hear you. Your prayers are bouncing off the wall. So you got a lot of religious people that are going to be in this particular event as well. So we got to understand that too. Again, you know, we got politics and religion. All of these type of things are all going to be coupled up in this meeting that they're going to be having this weekend, I guess, during the Million Man March. And see, the thing about it again is that that's the reason why also, you know, you have to really know the word of God to see and to see how you can dissect and deal with this thing. Because again, you're going to have a lot of preachers that say that they believe in God and the Holy Ghost and everything like that, agreeing with a lot of that foolishness that's going to be coming out of this man's mouth. Like I say, I'm not saying that I'm closed off completely, totally with everything he said, because some things he do say about black folks, you know, I can't help but agree. But see, when you're I'm looking at the fact, what is your overall purpose? Okay, why are you telling me this? What do you mean? Where are you coming from with this? Why are you telling me this? And with such passion that you have. Like I say, this is America. And America right now is in a state of division. And the reason why it's in a state of division is because you have those who are sitting in high places that are spewing nonsense. And the fact about it is that when you're talking, you have a strong mind, in a sense, speaking to a weak individual. More than likely, that weak individual is going to be won over by that strong mind. And when I say weak, that means those who don't research, those who don't crack open a book, those who are not willing to go and research and do anything that they can to get the truth about something, as opposed to just taking somebody blindly at their word. I'm not doing that anymore. Like I say, I'm not an old person, but the thing about it is that I'm not all that young either. And I'm maturing. I'm not there yet. It's still an evolution and process because I'm still living. But the issue is, like I say, you know, for those who may choose to listen to this video, understand where I'm coming from with this. I'm not sitting up there telling nobody not to watch this man when he talks or whatever. That is your personal preference. I know for me, I will not sit there and lend this particular garbage, you know, any type of my attention, because I have better things that I can be doing with my time. Like I say, and I would, you know, and the sad part about it is that not only is this something that is for black folks, you're going to have a great deal. You may not have that many white folks watching in person or being able to be an active participant in that. You're going to have a lot of white folks with their TVs, you know, and zoomed in on what's going on. Because I'm pretty sure it'll be broadcast live and everything else, like, you know, all other things, you know, of this particular type of caliber, you know. But you got to understand is that the only time I'm actually going to go and actually be a part of something is if I know that it will really have the potential to change my life for the better and not the worse. I don't see anything positive coming out of this. I just don't. And that is me being positive. I'm being real. And anybody who knows me knows that I try my best to be real, and I try my best to bring you information, you know, as I see it. Now, you may look at and say what I'm saying as a bunch of hogwash and that you don't believe me. That is okay. I'm glad you don't, because if you agree with everything I say, then guess what? Somebody doesn't have a backbone. But all I'm saying is that do your own research. You don't have to take anything that I say as true. Do your own research and come to your own conclusion. What I'm saying here is what works for me. And you don't have to believe that. You know, that's the beauty of being an individual. You know, you have your way and have your thoughts and opinions. I have mine, and I just happen to voice them. Like I say, I'm not looking for no pat on the back or praise or anything. I'm just keeping it real. Like I say, for those people who can actually think, they know for the most part that this particular movement is nothing more than another Black Lives Matters type of issue. You know, so, you know, I don't really have much else to say other than that. So peace out. And you all, you know, for those of you who watch, you know, sorry for you.